Is the Carrington event of 2024 over? Oh dear. Hello, this is Chart GPT today. Yeah, we've recently had what they call a Carrington event. It disrupts electricity, causes radiation, aurora borealis. Here's a picture of one here. You can see it approximately May 10th, and it was very similar to the one back in the 1800s, and several that have occurred since then. But it seems to have sideswiped the Earth a little bit, so it wasn't quite as severe as some were predicting. At least this one. And here's a kind of a picture of where the radiation or the absorption of the radio waves were the most, and kind of gives you a little bit more detail, which is quite interesting. And you know, these things have occurred historically. The first one, which gave it the name of Carrington Event, was back in 1859, where the British astronomer Richard Carrington identified it as a geomagnetic storm causing spectacular aurora borealis is visible in as far as south as the Caribbean. So then there was one in 1921 where it disturbed a lot of telegraph lines, experiencing fires, etc., etc. Then another one came in 1972, the solar storm of August 1972. More radiation that had even stopped the Vietnam War at the time. Quebec blackout kind of hit the Quebec area there, affecting millions, causing some blackouts. The Bastille Day event of 2000 occurred on July 14, causing an intense aurora borealis visible across Europe, etc., etc., temporarily disabling some satellites. And then the Halloween storms of 2003. So those are kind of the ones of the event. I guess the Carrington event back in 1859 was the biggest. However, that being said, they're telling us that there have been in the past, they've looked at tree rings and radiation and carbon dating, and there's one that was 14,300 years ago that was really a big one, almost 100 times what we experienced. So no, the Earth hasn't really experienced those, but they do happen. They claim there's 9 of these kind of events in the last 15,000 years. The most recent was in 774 CE. So it's kind of interesting, but so this one wasn't a big one. It was bigger than some of them, but it wasn't a big one. But here's kind of a chart on the sunspots 400 years ago. There's minimums and maximums. We're kind of going into a minimum on a broad 400-year scale, because this is the thing, when you look at charts, you have to look at the scaling and the time. So you can see that it has been worse back in the 1950s. And then if you zoom in a little tighter here, you can see that they've been weakening. These cycles have been weakening. However, they do spike up. And we can take a look at here. Here's a more recent one in the last few years, and you can see that we're kind of going to a maximum here. And so we're still not out of the woods until probably 2028. So they can still occur, and you get a big one in there, and you never know. There's a Astrophysical Journal study said that they happen about every 3,000 years. About 100 times more energetic may occur about every 6,000 years. That's kind of what we was talking about earlier. That was happened 14,000 years ago. So they can happen. We're still not out of the woods, and of course it may be fear porn, but scientists, more and more powerful solar eruptions could hit Earth in 2025 and cause the worst geomagnetic storm in 165 years, or even worse, one of these every 3,000 or 6,000 year event. So it'll be interesting what you think will happen there. So the question is, on our online polling here, should we be investing in preparing for a major Carrington event? Can you prepare for something that happens every 3,000 years? I'm not so sure. We spend a lot of money, but if it does happen, you wish you had. Give it your take. Follow the post link in the description box and take that online poll, and read what the AI says about what a Carrington event is and how you can protect against it, etc., etc. Now don't forget to subscribe.